Before the French Revolution, France was an absolute monarchy. King Louis XVI ruled by divine right, believing his authority came from God. The Catholic Church was the first estate of the realm. It owned 10% of all French land, collected its own taxes, and controlled education, records, and charity. The church and the crown were inseparable partners. There was no separation of religion from state because the two were the same thing. In 1789, that world collapsed. The Estates General convened, then became the National Assembly. In August, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was adopted, proclaiming liberty, property, security, and resistance to oppression. But the revolutionaries understood that to build a new republic, they had to break the old alliance of throne and altar. The first blow came in 1790 with the Civil Constitution of the Clergy. The state redrew dioceses, declared that bishops and priests would be elected by citizens, and required all clergy to swear loyalty to the nation. The Pope condemned this as schism. Half the clergy refused. France was now divided between those loyal to Rome and those loyal to the Revolution. By 1793, the Revolution entered its radical phase. The Festival of Reason turned the Cathedral of Notre Dame into a temple of liberty. A new revolutionary calendar abolished Sundays and religious holidays. Churches were closed, bells melted for cannons, and priests were forced to marry or flee. The goal was nothing less than to erase religion from public life entirely. In 1795, the convention took the historic step of declaring that the French Republic recognized no state religion. For the first time in the Western world, a major power had formally separated church and state. Freedom of worship was permitted, but religion was now a private matter, not a public institution. But the separation didn't last. Napoleon Bonaparte, seeking stability, signed the Concordat of 1801 with the Vatican. The church returned to France, but under strict state control. The government appointed bishops and paid clergy salaries. It was a compromise. The state acknowledged the church, but the church served the state. It took another century to complete what 1795 had begun. In 1905, the Third Republic passed the law on the separation of churches and state. The state would no longer fund any religion. Church buildings became public property. Religious symbols were removed from government spaces. The word laicite entered the French vocabulary.